welcome to My 11 Circle presents Cricbuzz Live. Got my cup of tea right here. Cup of tea, of course, it's England playing Australia. So the first half for England, cup of tea. Second half for Australia, some different drinks perhaps. Robin Uthappa and Zaheer Khan joining me here. Well, you got to say it was advantage Australia till pretty much the 35th. And then England pulling back. Will be very happy that they managed to keep Australia to below 300.
Yeah, exactly what I was saying at the com box, that the game's even Stevens with Australia having a little bit of an advantage.
Yeah.
And it depends on how they hold on. So England were not out of the game, and then they came back into the game beautifully post that 35th over. Exactly, I think in the 36th over, when we finished the com box and went back, they lost a wicket. They lost.
That's the com box curse.
Yes, so
always
that's been ongoing.
Yeah.
So that's where they kind of and then I think the loss of Maxwell and Stoinis for within the next 20 or 30 runs, kind of, you knew that's not going to be a 300 score. It's going to be much less than that.
Yeah, so it wasn't 300. It's fallen short of 300. How short? Let's show you the match summary. Here it is. Come on now. There it is. 285 is what they got to for the loss of 7 wickets. Aaron Finch, of course, loves scoring centuries against England. So service as usual from him. I think this is 7th century against England. So really enjoys hitting runs against him. Great opening partnership with Warner. But after that, not being able to capitalize. But 285. I don't know if Australia is happy with that score, but I'll tell you who is happy with that score. It is Zaheer Khan, because he's sitting on the My 11 Circle expert couch, because his prediction was 280. Oh my God, you soothsayer, pick my lottery numbers and read my kundli.
I like the excitement. Now finish it with drum roll.
Hang on, I got to put my tea down. Zaheer Khan! There you go, well done. You didn't give me a drum roll when I won last night, by the way.
That summed it up nicely. You know what Australia couldn't do with their innings? I think you finished it beautifully here in the studio, for sure.
I always finish things beautifully. The thing is that I finish things, basically. As soon as I come into a room, it pretty much finishes it. Done, time to go home. But not as yet. Wait. There's much show left.
Oh, God.
Let's have a look at what the England bowlers did and who was their pick. We'll let Zaheer take the lead in this. Tell us, Zach, what this bowling performance was for you.
It was mixed for sure. To start with, I think they couldn't get the lengths right. And as soon as they did it, they started getting the wickets.
Yeah.
So I would say from the wicket point of view, the pitch has actually played the same through and through. You know, what was the difference was the lengths which they were bowling. Of course, there was some good batting by Finch and Warner as well, to give that kind of a start. The 100-run partnership for the first wicket was pretty much the deciding factor for Australia's innings. That set the platform. So even though this 285 is looking like, they fell short by 25-30 runs, actually, if their bowlers can get the ball in the right areas from the word go, it will be very difficult for England to chase this total, because even with the old ball, there was some seam movement.
Yeah.
When it's a typical English condition, that kind of a wicket overhead conditions are helping the seamers. So that is something which is a cause of worry for England for sure. Even at this point, they'll be happy with how they went about that. They stayed in the game. They pulled things back. That's something which they should take pride in. But I think their batters will have to take more responsibility to finish the job, because if Australians don't get under pressure in terms of bowling and figure out exactly what are the right lengths and start pitching the ball, getting the percentage of deliveries in that area right from the word go, I think it will be a difficult chase for England. So even if they've done 285, good job after the
start, the opening partnership.
A job very well finished, but they still have a lot of work to do.
Long road. And of course, the stark contrast here is that the Australian openers going into this game, fantastic form. The English openers going into this game, Robbie, patchy.
I think the Australian opening bowlers are in a lot more form than the English opening batsmen are in.
Yeah, well put.
So I think that's the key. And Stark being their highest wicket taker, their wrecker-in-chief, that needs to be negated. If that's negated in the first 10 overs, if he goes wicketless in the first 10 overs, then England have done a good job to get off the mark, to do that, to make sure the first 10 overs is taken care of. So their first prerogative will be to make sure that those first 10 overs are Mitchell Starc goes wicketless.
Yeah, you notice that with Warner and Finch, the way they were batting with the conditions, they were respectful.
Yeah.
Right? They were respectful of the conditions. England is not known to bat that way. Right? England is known to bat in one gear.
Yeah.
Do they have to now look at the Aussie openers and say, let's pick something up from this? If the ball is getting a lot of swing, lateral movement, we got to be slightly respectful. Let's just change gears a bit. It's a big game.
Well, that's a tough one, honestly. But given the form of the English batsmen, that might be the way they go. But if it was Jason Roy batting at the top of the order, I would have had a different opinion. But I think with the current English openers that they have for this game, I think they will go the same way the Aussies went.
Yeah.
In the first 10 overs to make sure they get off to a decent start without losing too many wickets. And then from there, building on that. The start here is going to be critical because the wickets even Stevens. It's the same for both the teams. It's going to do pretty much the same through the day. So they got to make sure they get off to a good start.
The problem with England has been we keep talking about these gears. Why do we talk about them? That's because today when you saw Australia batting, they of course have that gear when both Finch and Warner can be destroyers. But today they were sort of nudging along and they got, about 4.5, 5 runs in the first 10 overs. And there you go. After that, for the 11 to 20, they accelerated because they hadn't lost a wicket, right, Zach? So they went pretty much, 50% faster than they'd gone in the first 10 overs. Exactly.
And after that, I think, what changed the momentum of the game or the pace of the match was the wickets.
Yeah, the run out.
And Moeen Ali giving that breakthrough. There was a run out as well, and English bowlers finding that length.
Yeah.
That made things a bit tougher for the batsmen.
The foolish length.
The foolish length, which we were talking about, which everyone were talking about. So now we'll have to wait and see how English batsmen actually approach their innings, because it's going to be a pretty much like test match kind of a scenario.
Yeah.
And you've seen that the Khwaja's wicket.
Yeah.
That length is actually the ideal length to back yourself as a bowler on this kind of a track, which is actually the length which says slot. Now, when you say slot is actually for the batsman to hit, but not in these conditions. So in these conditions, you can actually get the ball going there and get your slips in place. It's not easy to just keep playing those drives through and through. You saw with Smith as well, he couldn't time it. So as a batsman, that slot length initial part of the innings is not the easy length to deal with.
Yeah.
So I'm sure Starc will look to exploit that length. Jason Behrendorff is used to hitting that length consistently. I mean, Jason Behrendorff's strength has been to get the ball right up there and extract some movement off the wicket. So he'll be starting with Mitchell Starc is what my feeling is.
So you will, because they're both, the same angle, right? So would you start with both of them? Is that how you would start?
Because that's what Jason does well.
Yeah.
Jason gets that ball right up there, makes it difficult for batsmen. The batsman has to play most of the deliveries. And on these kind of tracks, that's the most important thing to do. You can get hit for few boundaries, it's fine. But if you can get those 1 or 2 wickets, that is going to put pressure on English batsmen. So that should be the approach.
Yeah.
And Cummins will be coming in one change.
First change. So the slot, it's so interesting because you keep seeing that slot and that's where the batsmen like to hit, but not on these conditions. In these conditions, can you call it the clot because it blocks you? Right?
You could.
Stops it. Right?
That's an
It's
awesome
clot for batsmen.
Yeah, it's the clot, right?
for batsmen.
So next time they say this one's in the slot, no, it's in the clot when you're bowling here because you're stuck. You're stuck, you're jammed, you can't go anywhere. All right, how did the wickets fall for Australia? Remember, they had this monstrous opening partnership, right? They got a century stand, 123 is what Warner and Finch got. Then they got a decent partnership with Khwaja and the captain as well. And that's when it happened, right? So they lost those 2 wickets there, which is Khwaja and Finch real quick together. And then Maxwell, Stoinis and Smith as well. Maxwell and Stoinis, then 2 go together. And then, of course, Smith, towards the end. So that's the thing, right? You lose 2 wickets and you suddenly, the game changes, the winds change.
That's the whole thing. So when David Warner got out, they had a solid opening wicket partnership. Then they put on 50 runs, which is also another important follow through to that 100-run partnership. But after that, when they lost Aaron Finch at 185, it became clear that both were pretty new batsmen at the crease, and one of them needed a bat through, and that was Steve Smith. But also the loss of the run out, the loss of Stoinis at that point in time really was a dampener in the Australian innings, which led to their score being what it is today.
Yeah, so it was quite a collaborative effort, that run out. On the Cricbuzz app, you can see it's credited to Bairstow and Adil Rashid and Butler, the three of them. But whose fault was it?
Well, I think he called. From what I saw, I saw him call, but
Stoinis.
No, I saw Smith call. So Smith said 2 when they were going. And so I think Stoinis said, okay, it's just 2, I'm just going to touch and run back. But when Smith reached the non-striker's end, he said no. He turned back and said no. But Stoinis was already going.
Stoinis heard go.
Yeah, maybe he said go. Maybe he heard go. And then he was already going. And somewhere in between, I think
it was like a bull going, and then he went straight to the dressing room.
Yeah, somewhere in between he
keep running.
He even missed a couple of steps, like he almost ran too fast, and then he kind of stabilized himself, and he realized that he was right there, and so he didn't stop. He just kept going.
It's like, oops. That famous story of.
No, it wasn't like oops, like whoops.
It's just Wasim Akram and Inzamamul Haq, right? That famous story, folklore. Ki Wasim bhai, aap yahan, when they both ended up on the same end. That folklore story, right? I don't know whether it's true or not, but we've heard that story so many times with both ending up on the same end with Wasim diving.
It's always very frustrating when 2 batsmen end up in one end.
Does that happen with you?
It just looks foolish, isn't it? Yeah, it happened to me.
With who?
With Javagal Srinath.
The two of you. Who called and who ended up
Auckland.
where? Huh?
At Auckland.
Yeah.
So, previous delivery, Srinath came to me and he's like, okay, even if it goes down the leg or whatever, even if it goes to the keeper, you run. I was at the non-strikers then.
Yeah.
And the ball was wide down the leg side. So obviously, which gave me even more time to get to the other end. And Srinath didn't move. So mine was a danger end. And he didn't move. And his explanation was, Zach, what are you doing? It was a wide delivery. So I was like, exactly, we would have got 2 runs.
I remember the one in Bangladesh where Anil Bhai and Paji, they almost...
Yeah, but there was no run out.
There was no run out in that. There was no run out. But then
Sachin and Anil Kumble.
Yeah, but that was so funny, because ball was one came to one end first, then he went back, then the other went to the other end, then they came back, but they didn't get out.
And they still managed to survive.
Yeah,
they were playing French cricket, were they? These are like French cricket rules.
I think it was very funny to watch on television.
But after you got out, then Ashish Nehra came to bat, didn't he? And then you guys...
Important thing is we won that match. So
we won the game. So all's well that ends well.
Yeah.
That's the one where Ashu Bhai hit that boundary of that was required.
Yeah, that was the one.
Yeah.
He hit a boundary?
Yeah. Over mid-wicket.
How come he hasn't mentioned that in the last few days?
Like Ricky Ponting.
Yeah.
Off the front foot.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Well done, Ashu.
He brags about it. He brags about it still, yeah.
He's bragged about the Shane Bond 6 to me. He hit Shane Bond for a 6. He brags about Freddie Flintoff at Lord's, the ground where it's happening today, where he hit it into St. John's Wood. He claims that ball is still travelling after 14 years. That ball's still going. Apparently, he's gone past Maida Vale. It's making its way up to Scotland now. But he's never spoken about this. But we shall ask him.
Yeah.
We'll be sitting together again when we get together for the next India game against West Indies. That's going to be in Hindi. Not out, it's upstairs. Hindi studio is upstairs. It really is. I'm just trying to explain the lay of the land to you. It's upstairs. But talking about the lay of the land, England will need to plan this chase because they are fresh off the back of bungling a 233-run chase. They're looking at this now. What happens, Robbie, for a batsman or for a batting unit? What happens after you have a loss like that? Something that should have been in the bag. Sometimes... not getting a smaller target can affect you more than not getting a big target, right? Because you
feel stupid.
Yeah.
Like you feel really lame.
Just silly, yeah.
You feel silly, and you're like, oh man, what was that all about?
Yeah.
But you also want to correct that immediately, right? So you fall back to what works for you, and sometimes these things can actually make you focus on the processes even more.
Yeah.
Of building partnerships, rotating the strike, making sure you don't lose wickets in clumps. These are things that you focus on. You focus on, every time a wicket falls, you add another 20 runs so that there's a partnership that's built. So there's no pressure that doubles up on your team. So those are the factors you kind of focus on. Then, and individually you focus on, okay, these are my bowlers. These are my bowlers that I need to respect. These are the bowlers that cause trouble to me. So I'll see them off. But these are the bowlers that I can get runs to. So I'll probably take advantage of that. So they go back to focusing on those aspects. They understand that something silly has happened in the previous game. You understand that as an individual, as a sports person, you understand that, but then you say, okay, let's move on and let me do the things that I need to do right.
Yeah, there's something about the England batting where we were talking about the Australia batting, right? Of how Finch and Warner decided we're going to play out the 10 overs. It was tough, and a few times they got opened up and got a few edges here and there, but they played it out. With England, there's always this problem. It's not high gear or low gear. With England, it seems like of late it's high gear or tentative.
Yeah, right? I think they go from either high gear or which gear.
Yeah, that's right. They just seem tentative. They just don't know, like
which way to go.
What do I do?
Yeah, so I think there's a lack of clarity there. But I think given their personnel, they've been so used to attacking at the top, and the fact that that's not working, and in this kind of a tournament, is putting them under pressure. But Joe Root is standing up to that pressure.
Yeah.
But the guys after him need also to do that in case those wickets fall at the top of the order.
I think the key is Joe Root.
Yeah.
He has to anchor the innings.
He's done super well in this tournament.
You have seen it with Australian innings as well, which was that main factor who
there you go.
set that platform.
Three of the guys you're talking about, all three are on this list.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So basically, they need a good opening start for sure.
Yeah.
And when you're planning for your chase, the most important thing as a batting group to come together and discuss is the fact that here, if anyone is in, he has to take more responsibility to finish the job.
Yeah.
Because today is one of those kind of days where you can lose wickets in cluster.
Yep.
It's not easy for a new batsman to come in and start going from word go. So you have to give him that much time. So if you are in, you have to take more responsibility and make sure that you stretch that innings.
Yeah.
Because there is enough help for the bowlers. So in these kind of conditions, you often see that that whatever the score is and whatever the wicket losses are, you can add 2 wickets to that tally. Pretty much, at any stage.
Yeah.
At any stage, any bowler can come up with those kind of spells where he gets 2 or 3 wickets in succession, and that puts real pressure on the batting side. So it might look like you are having a very easy chase, and suddenly there are 2-3 wickets down. That's what happened with Australian innings, right?
True.
So that is something which needs to be discussed in that batting group, to have that kind of plan, to have that kind of clarity going in this chase, rather than thinking, okay, what kind of gear you should be playing in.
Yeah.
Because pretty much it's decided by the surface, and they've seen it while they were in the field. So it's important that you start well. You negate that first phase of the hard new ball coming at you. Always exaggerated movement there. So once you see off that phase, then it will be on Joe Root, I think, to anchor that one end, and then around him you can have partnerships going, or someone taking chances with calculated risk.
He's definitely the spine of this batting lineup, as you saw, one of the top run getters of this tournament, and it's a long batting lineup. England has a long batting lineup, but Joe Root extremely key to it. And you said even if they lose those 2 wickets, they're going down. But again, we say a long batting unit, right? But it's not like you've got much fireworks from the tail in this tournament. You really haven't.
Well, you've seen that in patches. You've seen Moeen Ali initially. We did a detailed discussion about how Moeen Ali isn't coming off. Then he came in that game, scored 31 of 9 balls.
Yeah.
So he came off, and then that he's back to hitting it well again. Chris Wokes came up the order the other day and scored close to a 50 and batted well. So, he's batting well. Ben Stokes has come off a 90 in the first game. So, he's batting well. And he got, in the previous game, he got another 85. So, he's batting well.
So, they need them all to come together.
Yeah, it has to just
That's
work.
the thing, yeah.
So, Joss Butler's got 100 down the order, but they haven't won that game. So, everybody is batting well. It's about them coming together as a team, as a batting unit. And that's what they need. So they can agree to the fact that the openers haven't come off as well as they would have under normal circumstances, but that doesn't mean that the others shouldn't come off or aren't coming off. And the others, in that batting order should take responsibility and say, okay, if I can play to my potential today, I take my team through.
Let me tell you about chases and what has happened and why we're bringing this up. Against Pakistan, when they were chasing, they lost, I think it was about 74 for 4 towards the end.
Yeah.
And then against Sri Lanka, it was, I think, 68 for 5.
Yeah.
Right? They lost 5 wickets in that match. So they've got to avoid that. And the best way to avoid it is don't let those guys come into bat. Joe Root, just stay there.
So the success,
right?
you see the successful run chases of these teams, of this team, this English team. You know that when they've successfully chased a score, they haven't lost too many wickets on the go. Like at least those back-to-back wickets within those spaces of 10-15 runs haven't happened. So when that doesn't happen, or when there's a partnership that's stitched, even a 30-run partnership in a one-day game, then more often than not, you know they're going to end up batting well. And that's the key for them, not to lose back-to-back wickets in a space of 10 runs or 15 runs.
Yeah, but Joe Root is a big key. But is that safe to say, Zach, that Joe Root gaya to England toot gaya? Yeah. Yes.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's very important that someone plays that innings, and you're banking on Joe Root for various reasons. You know, he's someone who has had impact on Test match cricket as well.
Yeah.
You know, has got a solid technique. So you need solid technique on this kind of track. You won't see those drives which you play on the up.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
Johnny Bairstow, if it's on the shorter side, he's comfortable. You know, you can play those horizontal bat shots. But when it's pitched up, and you've seen it with Chris Wokes getting that ball right up there, can nick you off. So that those are the kind of areas which Australians should be focusing on. And as a batsman, as English batsman, you have to be very precise in terms of picking up that length. If it's too full, you can definitely take advantage of that. But that in-between length which we talk about, if Australians hit that length, I think the technique of the likes of On Morgan or Butler or Johnny Bairstow for that matter, guys who like to play on the up. It looks great on a flat track or a true bounce track. But here it's going to be a touch difficult to play those kind of shots.
Yeah.
So as a batsman, it's very important how you pick the length. That is going to determine how good you are playing on the surface.
Yeah.
So we'll have to wait and see. It's actually going to be dependent on how Australians approach, and if they can get in that percentage of deliveries in that good
In the clot.
In the clot.
In the clot.
between good length and the slot, half of slot and good length.
Is the clot. That's why you got to do it. Listen, the batsmen, bowlers have to listen to Zaheer Khan, but Robbie, batsmen have to listen to Zaheer Khan too. I'll tell you why. This game is happening at Lords. Talking about run chases and successful run chases at Lords. The most successful run chase that has ever happened at Lords, the winning runs were hit by...
Zach, man.
Every time you
Drum
say
roll.
something like this, yeah, please.
Drum roll!
Yes, it feels good.
We're talking about the NatWest final. He hit the winning runs.
He did.
Yes.
He hit it down to deep square leg. Sure, no, fine leg.
With a straight bat which didn't have any backlift.
Oh,
see that?
yeah.
Putter. You putt.
No.
Boom. Just like
Like
that.
you're saying, Claude, I blocked. Just a block.
He did it. And of course, then I remember you running as if there was someone with a gun chasing you.
You know, when you have Andrew Flintoff bowling at you, you know, what do you expect? And
Get to the other end.
Caf and UV got it so close.
Yeah.
You know, they, I think for their effort, deserved to be winners on that particular day. So I was just making sure that no one is disappointed.
Yeah.
And Dada gets the opportunity to take the
his
shirt
shirt
off and take his revenge, his own sweet revenge.
But Zach Bhai has done it not just against England, he's done it against Australia here in Bombay. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, he hit, remember that game where...
Yeah, I remember that. Partnership with Karthik.
Yeah. About 48-run partnership or 50-run partnership for the
That's a good
second
one.
last wicket.
You got most of them though.
I was picking the wrist spinner well.
Oh, nice.
One of my better days.
I remember him hitting, like Bretley came and gave him like a stare and like kind of sledge. Not sledge, but just came up to him and stared at him. Next ball in the slot, almost outside Wankhede.
Nice. You know what the mistake that Bretley made there? He gave you the stare. Instead, he should have come and sung that song in Hindi for you.
You know what was my calculation?
Tumhara
You know what was
hi
my
rahu.
calculation?
What?
It was 9.5. overs bowled by Brett Lee at that stage. So anyway, he can't hurt me.
Time to go.
It was last ball of his spell.
Boom.
Yeah.
प्यार किया तो
He
डरना क्या?
didn't have opportunity to hurt me. Like,
There was always going to be a next game, Zach. There was always going to be a next game. We told you that we'll talk about an amazing thing that happened on this day. Hashtag on this day, 36 years ago. What was that? Well, one of the most historic moments in Indian cricket. It's Kapil's Devils picking up the World Cup, beating West Indies at Lord's. And this is what happened. Of course, we all know what happened that day. It was 183 is what India scored. Vivian Richards was running away with the game before Kapil Dev ran and caught him out, ran over 40, 50 yards and then caught him out and sent him packing. And after that, it was India all the way. India won by, 43 runs. And Mohinder Amarnath, of course, was the man of the match. For the finals and the semi-finals, and this really was an extremely special day, and we were talking about that, but look at this score, it's just so nostalgic to look at it, right?
I just saw Balwinder Singh Sandhu's name there at the bottom. He got 2 wickets. I remember him taking the first wicket. I don't know if it's Gordon Greenidge or
Yeah, of course.
Haynes. I think
Haynes.
No, it was Greenidge, the one over.
Greenidge. Okay, yeah, the big
It just,
the big one.
It clipped
That's
the
Greenidge,
it clipped the bail, right? And then he jumped and he did one little shake of his head, which is like the cutest
like
thing I've seen. Like one thing he did with his head.
Like that, he
Very
goes-
cute. But it's one of those things that sticks with you, right?
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that's actually stuck with me about that World Cup final. It's such an endearing, like a little clip.
He is a supremely endearing man. I've spent some time with him because he's training all the cricketers for the 83 film.
Yeah, he
so
is,
he's in charge of all of that, and he's still that same sweet. I can imagine him doing that dance even now, right now.
No, you can't do it. He can try.
But he can try.
The arms can move.
Just a little bit.
Drum roll for you.
Oh, Ballupa, what a day that was, though. What a day. Really, even viewing the highlights. And if you're one of those people who has no idea what we're talking about, I really doubt. But if you don't, by that I mean the details of it, like that little jump, or when Robbie told you about Jimmy Amarnath trying to pick up the stump and then missing towards the end and people rushing on. Just go and watch the highlights.
Yeah.
Trust me, watch the highlights of that. Watch the highlights of the semi-final, because one of the most amazing things I've seen in cricket has happened in that England semi-final. If you remember that the last, I think what was it, 1 run to get, and Bob Willis kept everybody on the offside, so they were near the pavilion because people were invading onto the field. You guys remember this?
No, I don't.
So I've got to show you guys this then.
Yeah.
Everybody was invaded on the field 1 ball before. The match was not over, right? So they just put everybody near the pavilion. There's 9 fielders standing there.
Wow.
The bowler, Bob Willis, comes to bowl. A short run up. Sandeep Patil swings the bat. It goes somewhere. The ball goes somewhere. The crowd is coming. Everyone has just run. As soon as he made contact, everybody ran towards the pavilion. And like 4,000 people are on the ground. It's just, trust me, go and see those highlights. Not right now, after we finished with the show, because right now we are priority. Okay, don't go right now. So you can go after 2 minutes. All right, so let's just quickly tell you about the England-Australia game. England will be coming out to bat. 286 is what they need to get for this win. Very, very important win for them. Remember, after this, they're playing India and they're playing New Zealand. They need 2 out of these 3 games to win to go to the semis. They'd want to start today. They don't want to go 2 out of 2, so they definitely want to win today. Predictions from you, gentlemen. Advantage at this point in time, England or Australia?
It's hard to call, actually.
It's even game at this time.
Yeah, it's a very even.
50-50?
Yeah.
50-50 game.
50-50? 55-45, somebody.
No.
It tells. 51-49.
It's actually even, right?
51-49.
No, I'll tell you why. Because Australia had the advantage, they squandered it. Then you can't say England have the advantage, because you know the Australian bowling attack right now. Just the top 2 bowlers are in better form than the top 2 batters in the English side. So it's like very evenly keen, and poised right now. So
Even Stevens?
yes,
Even Stevens.
Even Stevens. Okay, I'll tell you what. I will say 55-45 to England.
To England.
Yes. Avantage England.
Okay.
Really?
Yes, I'm saying.
There's a
You'll
lot of
see
help
me
in the
later in my office.
Yeah.
Money back guarantee I'll give. I'll give money back guarantee. 55-45.
There's a lot of help in the wicket.
They'll do it. Today they'll do. England will do.
Will do?
They're motivated.
Okay.
They're motivated. Australia, they will. Crowd will get behind England.
Yeah,
also.
since the time he's come back from England, you know, he's
He's been
predicting
very English since
English.
he come back
Yeah,
from
there's
England.
that English tinge I can see.
सर जहाँ का नमक खाता हूँ वहीं का हो जाता है.
ये उतरेगा कब नमक?
Oh God.
टाइम लगता है.
When is it
4-5
gonna
दिन लगता है नमक निकलने में. You know me, हम जिधर जाता है उधर का होकर रह जाता है.
Yesterday he predicted England going on to win
Yeah.
the World Cup.
So it's from Desh ka Gaurav.
Yeah.
He's become Videsh
Okay,
ka
one second,
Gaurav.
I got.
Videsh ka Gaurav.
Videsh ka Gaurav.
Videsh.
Me predicting England will win the World Cup, by the way, is not the first time you're hearing that prediction. It's not like me saying that Papua New Guinea is going to win the World Cup without even playing in it, right?
Yeah.
100 million people have said England could win the World Cup. I had a big rider on it, where I said if they win these 3 games, then they can win the World Cup. But I really doubt it. I doubt it. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think they're going to do it today. All right, it's time for us to go. We're going to see you at the end of the 15th over on Cricbuzz Combox from Zaheer Khan, Robin Uthappa, and me, Gaurav Kapur. Sorry. Desh ka Gaurav.
Yeah.
Videsh ka Gaurav.
आज विदेश का बोल.
Aaj Videsh ka Gaurav. Desh ka Gaurav. It's goodbye. We'll see you after the 15th over.